this is Tom Cloud with my bi-weekly precious metals market update from my lake home. We're out taking a little R&R up here with our grandchildren. But anyway, I'll get right to the question. Don't have a lot of information. Didn't get a lot of emails this past 2 weeks, but got a few. First thing I want to address is a question about someone who wrote in about the history of currency and reminded me, I kind of forgot about it, that going back, the Chinese were the ones that first converted to paper currency. Up until then, it was always physical gold. Silver was used in barter. Gold was used as money. And at some point in history, to make it lighter and more easy to carry around, Chinese invented the paper currency. So, yes, that is true. The other big change that we've seen since we visited last is we now have the petrodollar we've talked about for years has always been settled in dollars. US dollars is now being settled in the renminbi or the Chinese yuan. We've seen 7 countries now change this since in the last month. They've changed to where they do all their settlement and payments in the renminbi or the Chinese yuan. So this is very, very what we've been talking about coming. It is here. It is scary, and things are changing. They're changing fast. The next question here that I've got is, do I think gold bottomed at 1720, as so many experts have talked about? And yes, I do. I was talking to a large client last week that was placed in substantial order, and he said, I'm an amateur market timer, and do you see what I see? And I said, yes, I do think. Certainly, it doesn't mean I can be wrong. But yes, we think the 1720 came in at the gold level and the 2478 at the silver level when the ratio got to where gold was 70 times more valuable than silver. We saw a reverse again. So literally in less than a year, we've seen the gold-silver ratio go from 120 down to 70, which means silver's been going up a lot faster than gold. But what's happening now is there's a move back to gold because the central banks are buying it so quickly, and they know that any resolution to the world financial problem that is coming barreling at us is going to have gold involved in it. No question about it. If you don't own gold as a central bank, you're going to be playing back up to the people that have the gold, something that's real. And certainly we all know what's going on with the Biden administration and printing money. And most of it's not even going, really analyze it. And I did. I'm telling you, when you look at 10% of $2 trillion going to infrastructure, what we call infrastructure, us old timers, certainly there's a new definition of it. But just think, most of that's going as favors to political savvy marketing and paying people back. It's the worst political situation that can be. It's not helping the people, and it's putting us further and further in debt. Just think we hit $28 trillion. It was $9 trillion with Obama just a few years ago. The debt is now $28 trillion and going up very, very quick in no possible way. There is not a possible way that this can be repaid. You keep rolling over treasuries, and now it's going to get where nobody wants the U.S. treasuries. You see China cut their treasuries. They're down to about $3 trillion. Japan's at about $3 trillion. Russia's at about $500 billion. So just these 3 countries are nearly $7 trillion of the $28 trillion debt. And you look at it and say, how's it ever going to be paid back? It's not. It's going to be a new currency, and it's going to be backed by gold, and it could happen before the end of 2022 is what we're hearing and what we believe. There's just no way to keep going. Just think right now, $28 trillion at an average of 2% interest, that's $560 billion of interest per year piling on, because nothing's getting paid down and it just keeps turning over to a new interest rate. So here we are where the total budget in 1980 for this country just 40 years ago was $500 billion. Now the interest on the debt is more than that and getting worse by the minute. I could go on and on about this, but if you don't get the picture on this, the last two things I want to mention is, yes, I'm very concerned about the tax situation. I'm not an economist. I'm not someone that follows tax law. I'm not a CPA. But I do tell you, you need to visit with your CPA because it is certainly coming at you. Taxes, taxes, more taxes. I mean, we're talking about, now they're back talking about death tax and how much it's going to be. It could be staggering if they go back and only have a $2 million to $5 million exemption, and then people worth $6 to $100 million that fall into most of my clients. Yes, I mean, they can come in and slap a death tax on your estate again and take numbers 70% of over 5 million. And I mean, you need to see that. Now, certainly, was brought up a good point. If Biden is only in 4 years and this thing swings back the other way, like we've seen it with, Clinton and Bush and Obama and Trump, see it going back and forth with the estate tax. Certainly, you may not need to. But if I were you, I wouldn't be waiting around. I'd be finding out what you can do, your alternatives, your options, especially if you have estates over 5 million. You really need to check into what you need to do with protection, because there are things that these attorneys that specialize in trust can do legally to cut that down. But certainly, I can't answer your question where I think the tax is going, but I do think it's going somewhere. So it's certainly worth looking into. And then the last thing that I was emailed was a graph off of Martin Armstrong newsletter that someone got, and basically asked me, did I believe that in the 245-year cycle that was mentioned in a graph form, that wherever east is and wherever west is, that every 245 years, the power goes the other way. So if you look at the United States coming in 1776, 1780, and becoming through this new country, growing in freedom and all the great days that we've seen built over the last 240 years, it's amazing. But certainly we're seeing clearly that that is reversing and the power is going back to China. And you can say, yes, they've got many problems, no question about it. But they certainly have proven they're much better money managers than we are. And you have to believe that a cycle that's gone through 10 times every 245 years, and we are able to look at what's going on right now, I do believe that cycle is real and that we are in a changing environment to where the United States loses it as a superpower, especially economically. Maybe not militarily, but certainly economically. So yes, you better look at it because it is changing fast, and you better get your money in hard assets if you don't have it. You've got to get gold. Gold's going to be the big winner, and certainly you have been given a gift. With this 10% drop to start the year in gold is absolutely a gift. And for y'all that think the stock market is going to keep going up, I'm in the stock market. I believe in diversification. Any of you that follow me know that. I believe in diversification with all my heart. But certainly you better have a good money manager to help you know when to get out, because it's going to be a day this market comes tumbling down. It just can't keep going the way it is, and the same people getting richer and richer, and it's not spinning out. And the worst thing to end this thing with is inflation. When we came to our lake house 3 weeks ago, We have a bacon that we bought and then went back this week, bought the same kind of bacon. And because the other one was in the refrigerator, I just happened to look and realized in 3 weeks, same kind of bacon's gone up 3%. And we bought some steaks to celebrate Catherine, our daughter's birthday. They were 5% more in 3 weeks. And we were talking to a meat supplier about 6 weeks ago, that's a client of ours in Arkansas. And he was telling me what the inflation in food, all you got to do is go to the grocery store. You know where it is. And yet the government tells you got a 2 or 3% inflation. It's 2 or 3% if you use things you're not using. But if you're eating at home, if you're eating it out, it's even worse. So yes, this thing is getting very serious, and inflation is here, and it's growing, and it's going to get worse and worse and worse. You're never going to see the real numbers. It's always going to be a fake number. But all you got to do is keep your own inflation numbers. Things you do. You drive your car. What's gasoline doing? Look, it's gone up 75 cents since Biden went in. And the way he's cutting down the pipelines and causing unemployment go up to that sector and killing jobs and hurting everything. I mean, it's inflation in gasoline, it's inflation in food, and it's going to get worse and worse. So yes, gold is off to a bad start this year, but that's a winning thing for you. You've got what I think is sense. You will see that and add to it. And there was one last thing, and I will close, and that is about what you have to report when you sell. It's a very big misunderstanding. We don't have to do anything when you buy. There's no notification, no requirements when you buy gold or silver of any kind. But when you go to sell it, there are certain kinds of gold that we have 1099 you on. They're 24 karat gold, and it starts at the 25th ounce per year. So things like Australian kangaroos, Austrian philharmonics, these kind of things that are 24 karat gold, there is a 1099 when you sell them, if you sell over 24 ounces in a calendar year. And yes, if you're buying British sovereigns, Swiss franc, French francs, and these, there's no reporting. It does not mean you don't have a taxable event, but we don't have to send you a 1099 on that. So hopefully that's clear. We've called up, and I look forward, and I will be slowing down a little bit and be back and forth to the lake with my grandchildren, and real excited about that. They're now 21, 19, 16, and 14. Just hard to believe how quick time goes by. With this bi-weekly precious metal market update, this is Tom Cloud signing out.